This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2. Look at that, Patty. Beautiful form. Welcome to DBL. It's Monday, April 19th. I'm Tori here with my good friends Brendan and Erica. I don't know why I said it like that.
I don't know either.
I thought we would get started on that. We do want to just talk to you guys today. We just want to have a conversation because there was a terrible amount of gun violence over the weekend, and we want to discuss it. So first, in Austin, Texas, police have taken one man into custody this morning. He's actually a former sheriff's deputy. He was suspected of killing 3 people in a shooting rampage there yesterday, and that was just one of the many incidents over the weekend. So our hearts are going out to the other victims, including the 3 people shot and others wounded at a Wisconsin tavern, another woman in Ohio that was killed at a vigil, and in Chicago, a 7-year-old girl was killed and her father seriously injured at a McDonald's. We're also learning more about the 19-year-old man who killed 8 people at a FedEx facility last week. We're not going to show you his picture. That is a DBL policy. Of course, for mass shooters, authorities say he legally purchased the 2 assault rifles used in the attack in July and September of last year. That is despite the fact that his family reported him to the authorities for potential violence in March, and he had a rifle taken from him at that time. Now, this has led many people to question the background checks, the red flag laws that are supposed to prevent firearm sales to people who could be dangerous to themselves or others. What a weekend. Let's just chat right now about how y'all are feeling about what went on. Are you numb? Are you angry? Are you pushing forward and marching towards making things happen? Erica, how are you feeling?
Well, I think we have to decide what conversation we want to have. Are we going to have the conversation about gun reform and how accessible and talking about common sense gun control? Or are we going to have the mental health component of the conversation? Or are we going to talk about the actual effects of everything that's happened in the past year and some change, and how people have completely been locked down, secluded, and all of the issues that we had before are simply being compounded?
Yeah.
So which conversation?
All three.
Well, you know what? Let's just continue to take the lazy route. Let's just instead of even having those conversations that we refuse to really have, Erica, let's just do the whole thoughts and prayers thing. Because it seems like an entire cycle as it is. I mean, if you think about as we continue to roll out this vaccine and people are getting back to somewhat of a normal life, I kind of miss being outraged on us talking about someone coughing on someone in a Target, let alone coming out and someone coming out and opening fire with a semi-automatic weapon in a Target. So, I mean, I guess, we might as well just continue to take the lazy way out, Erica, and just do the thoughts and prayers, because nothing is working.
I think we all, I would say, talk about it a lot. I think we talk endlessly about common sense gun reform. 90% of you, all of you Republicans, Democrats, want background checks. That's almost unheard of as a bipartisanship, right? And the fact that we haven't done anything is, I think, that frustrating part. We can talk until our heads turn blue. Nothing's being done. I will bring up the fact that 26 years ago today was the Oklahoma City bombing, where we lost 168 Americans, 19 children, another domestic terrorist. We are dealing with this 26 years later. So it's a conversation I hope everyone's having. I know you're all tired of it, and I hope you'll write me in and let me know what you think. But I'm not willing to stop talking about it until actions take place.
Well, that's the thing. There needs to be action behind it. But the thing is, as I always talk about distractions, right?
Yeah.
It's not that one thing is more important than the other when we're having these conversations. Our vaccines and the idea that we need to know what's happening, long term, we need to know what the CDC is saying. What should we expect from vaccines? Very important conversation.
Sure.
Yeah.
But when we have multiple, over 20, are we at almost 30 or something in the past week?
45 in the past month, I know.
Okay, so 45 in the past month, ranging all over this country, big cities, small towns, mass shootings, gun violence, and people want to stop down because Johnson & Johnson had to pause the vaccine. I understand these are two very important conversations, but what are we seeing as the imminent threat here?
Right.
And I think sometimes we forget to triage what is happening in the world.
Totally. Triage is the right word. Where is the pain the most? Where can we be the most helpful? But let me know what you guys think about gun control, what you're feeling about the trauma that we're all feeling throughout America. Because it's baseball, apple pie, and mass shootings. That's what I see as America, which I don't want to see anymore. All right, everyone tweeted about to us this morning. Did you all see the warning for the popular Peloton treadmill? Well, federal safety regulators put out a very stern warning for parents and small pet owners, saying to immediately stop using them after one child died and others were injured. They released video of one of the incidents, and I really want to warn you, it's disturbing, so please look away if you don't feel comfortable. Now, the video shows a young child getting pulled underneath the treadmill, here we are, while it was on. Yeah, that's going to take your breath away. In this situation, please know the child was absolutely okay. They got out from underneath it. Another video shows an exercise ball getting pulled. Look at that. It's flattened while someone was on it running. Imagine that's a child. Look at this. Flat. Peloton has responded, though, calling the warning from the Safety Commission inaccurate and misleading. They say their product is safe as long as children and pets are kept away from it at all times. Peloton users, thoughts?
Well, I have a Peloton. I don't have a treadmill. I have a bike. It's very jarring to see something like that. Obviously, you want to make sure that children and pets are safe. But the truth is, your child and your pet shouldn't be around your workout equipment anyway.
Responsibility.
I do have a treadmill. My dog comes down sometimes when I'm working out, and I'm always very aware of where he is, and make sure that he doesn't come over by me, because it is a moving object. So I do think it is actually right to say you shouldn't have your children and pets around your workout equipment.
Yeah, I'm glad that I thought we were going to have to disagree on this one, Erica. So I'm glad, because this is very misleading for Peloton. You know, like the way that it's coming out saying that, oh, it's deemed dangerous for kids and pets. When you're not using this machine, unlock it. Remember when we were kids and before our grandparents had anything as cool as Pelotons, their regular treadmills? It was a monkey bar to us, you know, it was a swing set to us. But anytime my grandparents or someone would be like, hey, don't go over, do not touch that, and they look at you with the big mama eyes, you don't touch it. Like, I just think we use this as more as an educational thing than trying to cancel Peloton.
And I agree with you guys. If it's a hot stove, it's a hot stove. You got to be careful and have some responsibility, right? At the same time, like, seeing those videos, some treadmills have electric features that shut off immediately. They could at least, I feel like they doubled down on that it's safe. I just wish they had said, this is real. One child has died. We take this very seriously. Instead, they're like, this is misleading. I just wish they had just been a little bit more clear. But I get that it's a hot stove and you got to take responsibility when it's your child and your pet. I get that.
Yeah.
I just think for my little sister, when we were at some hotel staying as a family, my cousin was on the treadmill. My sister came up behind her, and she was like 5 years old, and she skid, you know, and she still has that on her arm.
Yeah, they're dangerous.
And there's a reason why you just have to be a little bit more vigilant when small children are around. And I'm not saying that to blame or put any, you know, it's an unfortunate tragedy, but I think that we do need to use, like, you know, exercise some precautions, because when my grandchildren, when my nieces and nephews,
Happy Monday, Erica.
when my nieces and nephews are at her house, she covers all of the equipment.
Wow.
Yes, yeah.
That's what you do. That's what you do. All right, we do have to give a big DBL shout out to NASA for pulling off the first ever flight on another planet. This little helicopter named Ingenuity successfully took off earlier today. This video was taken by the Curiosity rover. Another picture from the helicopter shows its shadow on the planet. Folks at NASA, I love these. They clapped. I love when they do these. They celebrated the historic first flight. Quite an accomplishment from 179 million miles away. Do you know what's crazy? From the first flight ever of the Wright brothers to going to the moon was only 66 years. Cool. Good talk, guys. Coming up on DBL, Paris Hilton is on DBL for the first time. She's telling us how she's fighting for abused kids and revealing how she deals with stress. And the Queen and her family pay tribute to Prince Philip, what you might have missed at his funeral over the weekend. That's coming up next. Closed cap. Welcome back to DBL. Prince Philip was laid to rest on Saturday in an intimate ceremony, and our Stephanie Jones joins us with a look at how the royal family paid their respects. Stephanie?
The royal family showed a united front by celebrating the life of Prince Philip. Due to the ongoing pandemic, there were only 30 people inside St. George's Chapel, meaning that the service was limited to immediate family only. Prince Harry and Prince William walked together behind the Prince Philip's coffin as it made its way to the chapel, and the Queen wore a black face mask and rode to the service separately in a car with her lady-in-waiting. She was married to the Duke of Edinburgh for 73 years. Once inside the chapel, the Queen sat alone, likely as a precaution because of COVID restrictions. And then after the service, we saw Harry and William spotted chatting and walking together, along with William's wife, Kate, which could signal a sign of a reconciliation between the brothers. Harry and William reportedly spent hours talking with each other behind closed doors after the funeral as well. And as for Meghan, we know that she stayed behind in California due to her pregnancy, but she reportedly sent a wreath of flowers and a handwritten note for the late prince. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. It was quite a scene when I was watching it. Seeing the Queen alone in black, sitting alone, it was just a visual I don't think we'll ever forget. Yeah. Coming up on DBL, Paris Hilton is here for the first time and getting real about her struggles and how she's using her popularity for a good cause. Do not go away.
If you're eligible for Medicare, then this segment is for you. You may qualify for extra benefits at no additional cost. Today, we're going to help you understand what plans may be available to you, how you can save money.
Welcome back to DBL. A lot has happened since Paris Hilton rose to fame in the early 2000s. She's now a DJ and a businesswoman, but she also fights for boarding school reform after sharing her own story of abuse she suffered as a teen. So how is Paris able to do it all? Well, she told us her secret earlier in today's Chatting with the Stars.
Joining us now is Paris Hilton. Thank you so much, Paris, for stopping by. Now, we can't wait to hear about your secret to stress relief. I think we could all use it right now amidst a pandemic. But first, speaking of stressful, as a fierce advocate for boarding school reform, what were you feeling last week when Utah passed a law that you championed, by the way? I'm so proud of you, for more oversight to prevent the abuse.
Thank you. It was one of the most empowering days of my life, just to know that everything that happened to me back when I was a teenager at the school would now be illegal today. So it was stressful as well, though, just having to get up on stage and do a whole speech in front of the governor and all the senators and everyone there. But I have just never been so proud of my life, and I've been working so hard to pass this bill. And next, we're going to be taking it to a federal level so that in all 50 states, it'll be illegal to abuse children the way they are.
Unbelievable, Paris.
Yeah, I know that you've heard from so many people who have been in your situation, but the amount of truth that you actually shared just liberated so many people, and I know they're very, very grateful for that. So with your podcast and documentary, you also reveal that the world underneath your picture perfect life that we all saw, you actually struggled deeply while you were in the spotlight. So walk us through some of those struggles and how you ended up in a better place now.
It was very difficult to do in the beginning because I've always wanted to portray this, perfect fairy tale life. But in reality, I had been through so many traumatic experiences, and so many things have happened to me that have been very painful and hurtful and have stressed me out. And it's been very hard, but I think it's important to talk about things, and doing the documentary was so healing. I've never felt better or been in a better place in my life, and I'm very happy.
So Paris, let's go back to you coming up again, right? Because you were pioneering social media, you were all over the tabloids. What do you think it would have been like coming up with social media the way it is today? Because it wasn't really prevalent back then.
I feel very lucky that I grew up before all this social media, because I just can't imagine the stress of being, a teenage girl and having to deal with the pressures of social media, with people, online trolls, and having to care about likes, and just, it's so much stress. So I can't, my heart really goes out to, all the young people who are dealing with that right now.
You just hit the nail on the head. There is a stigma, right? And we talk about mental health on this show all the time. I talk about the fact that I deal with anxiety, I deal with depression, I deal with stress. So tell me more about your supplement, because I really do believe that now more than ever, we need it.
Well, with Reset, I actually was a customer at first. I was on set shooting the billboards for my documentary, and I was so exhausted and so stressed out. And then the photographer, Brendan Forbes, told me about Reset, and he was like, try these supplements. And I took them, and then literally within an hour, I was feeling just less stressed. I was having focus. I was feeling just more alive and happy. And I love the product so much that now I decided to be an investor.
Wow. Well, before we let you go, Paris, I just have to ask, because you have this podcast, and it's not just that you're being transparent with your testimony, but you're bringing other people on to do the same. And I call my podcast my therapy. That's a part of how I keep mentally well. So I'm curious, who is your dream guest for your podcast?
I think Madonna would be a lot of fun to interview.
Madonna would be gold.
Yes.
I can't believe she hasn't been on your podcast yet. Let's put that out to the universe.
I don't even know if she does podcasts, but that would be pretty cool.
If anybody can make it happen, you can make it happen. Let's get Madonna on your podcast. Thank you so much for joining us here in DBL. If you're like us and you cannot get enough of Paris, make sure to check out This Is Paris, her podcast and documentary series on YouTube. If you want to unwind like Paris too and de-stress, which we all deserve that self-care, head over to parisreset.com for more info. Their website is on your screen. DBL will be right back. Thank you, Paris.
Thank you. Bye.
Promotional.
Verify is all about fact-checking the suspicious things you see online and answering your questions. Several viewers emailed the team about this one, including John Selhorn from Potomac Falls, Virginia. He wants us to verify, is it true that the COVID-19 vaccines are only effective for 6 months? We brought that question to our experts, our two favorite Williams, Dr. William Schaffner, an infectious diseases professor at Vanderbilt University Medical Center, and Dr. William Moss, the executive director of the International Vaccine Access Center at Johns Hopkins. So what's up with this 6-month stat? Well, it's actually pretty straightforward. Our experts explain that that's roughly how long it's been since those very first patients got a dose.
The clock is ticking. We're measuring it. We can't tell you any longer than that because we've only used the vaccines for 6 months. So hold on. We all think that these vaccines last, given their protection, last longer than 6 months. but we'll tell you that as we continue to measure the duration of protection.
The other William agrees.
And that's why it's important, for example, that the phase 3 trial actually be allowed to continue, the initial phase 3 trial, the follow-up of those individuals out 2 or 3 years to look at the duration of protection. So I think whenever they say, like, you know, the duration of protections, they'll say at least 3 months or at least 6 months, because basically that's just how much time we've had.
The CDC also says that at this point, they don't know how long protection lasts. So we could verify that no. Our experts say it's not that the COVID vaccines will only work for 6 months. What can be said is that they're effective for at least 6 months because that's the data we have. With your Verify, I'm Evan Kozloff.
Welcome back to DBL. We do want to take a moment to honor and remember Hester Ford. She was the oldest living American who died on Saturday at the age of 116. Hester leaves behind quite a legacy, including, ready for this, 2 children, 48 grandchildren. 12 children. So I was like, how did that happen? 48 grandchildren, 108 great-grandchildren, and around 120 great-great-grandchildren. She was born in 1905 when Teddy Roosevelt was still president. She lived through 2 pandemics, 2 world wars, and countless historical events. She also lived in the same home in Charlotte for more than 58 years.
That's amazing. I love how we said approximately 120 like somebody was just like, you know what, it's at 120, whoever comes next, we're not even gonna count them.
We don't, 128.5, we don't know what that is. All right, ready for this? We got some comments. Kenneth says about gun violence, do y'all think gun violence stopped last year, or do you think the news didn't report it? We were kind of discussing this.
I think I do think that there is an element that it wasn't as reported, but I also think that there was a bigger element that it wasn't happening as much.
And I don't think people were in mass enough to have mass shootings. I think people, and they get together is when you have it. Janet from Facebook says gun violence will continue until both parties decide on action. Warren says, let's get back into lockdown. It was safer. I know what you mean. On the Peloton, a lot of people agreed with you guys. Nova says, thank God the child's okay. But my opinion is the parents not watching the kids unplug the machines, just what you said, Brandon. And Eloisa says, did you see pets and kids inside gyms? No. Come on, people. This is the fault of the user. 1000% use common sense.
Yeah, but the whole, not to play double both sides, but the whole reason why Peloton had the rise is because gyms were closed. So I understand why if you are a mom or a stay-at-home mom or stay-at-home dad and you're working out, you just have to be mindful if the kids or the dogs are around. So I just don't like the wording that was used to make it look like we need to cancel Peloton.
I think it's also interesting because Peloton users will know that if you're going to do a ride and there's expletives in the music, they will tell you if the kids are around. Every instructor says this. So it's very much like meant to have the average parent in mind.
Wow.
because I'm always like, nobody's around, just go ahead with it. Drop some bombs.
Let's do it. I really want to do Peloton and be like, I want them to be like, hey, Tori, keep going. But,
well, you have to be in the class while it's live.
While it's live.
And I have my favorites, so I'll let you know.
Oh,
I have a few favorites.
You have a few favorites?
Tunde, Alex, Robin. My mom and I always ride with
Robin, there you go. All right. Goodbye to our coworkers at home today. We'll be together soon. DBL's new every day. We'll see you same time, same place tomorrow.
Thank you.